So let's talk about the 2022 version of Hellraiser. Right off the bat, one thing I really liked about this movie is that it's not a direct remake of the original. It's really a reimagining of the story. It's a pretty fresh idea, and I really don't have any complaints about it at all. It's been a really long time since I'd seen the original Hellraiser, and this seemed perfectly fine to me. The story, the way it played out, the characters seemed just fine. Didn't care that Pinhead's being played by a female. Doesn't matter at all, honestly. So yeah, give it a gold star for the plot. The next thing I really enjoyed about this movie is that the characters were pretty smart. Even when the plot requires them to be dumb, characters to be dumb in a horror movie to make stupid decisions, these characters don't really make a lot of stupid decisions, and I really appreciate that. There's even a character in this movie, he's one of the main characters, and spoiler alert, he turns out to kind of be the catalyst for everything that's going on. Even he seems like the voice of reason throughout the movie. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be here. Maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we shouldn't do this. But in general, just most of the characters just make pretty smart decisions. I'll give you one example. In most horror movies, if two characters get separated, one of them be looking around and all of a sudden they'll hear something and then they'll call out to the other character and that character never responds. But we know logically these two people are in the next room and there's no reason they shouldn't hear each other. Well, this movie has a scene like that and the guy in the next room says, "Yeah, I heard you." And it's just things like that that make this movie just a little bit more intelligent than some of the average horror movies we get. And I really appreciated that. Let's talk about the pacing of this movie. It starts out kind of slow. There's definitely things that keep you interested in what's going on. The plot keeps moving forward. It's not really boring or anything. There just isn't a whole lot that happens in the first half. The second half kind of kicks it up to 11. And, pun intended, all hell breaks loose. And it's like you're rewarded for waiting. And some movies that can be a drag where you feel like you're waiting too long for something to happen. This movie almost felt like a reward, like you were being rewarded for sticking with it, through the slower part, even though it's not really that slow, honestly. But I really appreciated the fact that, they kind of held off on showing the Cenobites too much and, Pinhead too much. And you really only get them, honestly, like really in the second half of the movie, later, really the last third. And it just makes it more of a compelling story. You really kind of invested into the characters and what's going on by the time the Cenobites are really on screen for any significant amount of time. Now, the Cenobites, the Chatterer is in this film, and I remember him from the earlier Hellraiser movie, and of course Pinhead. The other ones seem like new creations. I'm not sure. I haven't seen all 10 Hellraiser movies. Forgive me, but they were just pretty cool. Honestly, cool design. Nothing too. It just wasn't too extreme. It just that body horror type of look, and for the amount of screen time they had, I think it was kind of perfect, and they were pretty cool. So the ending, without giving it all away, it comes to a satisfying conclusion. A lot of movies don't. They set up a sequel by not giving you a decent ending to the movie, which I think is just the wrong way to set up a sequel. This movie doesn't do that. It sets up a sequel, but also concludes the story that you've been watching. It kind of leaves one little loose end that is somewhat answered and is what leads into a potential sequel, which, like I said, this is kind of like the way I like to see a movie lead you into a sequel. Give me a satisfying ending, leave me a little cliffhanger that whet my appetite for another one, but let there be some kind of conclusion. And this movie did do that. So basically, in conclusion, this movie is pretty good. I don't know if this is your type of horror movie. But as you know, horror movies go, it was pretty good. It's one of the better ones I've seen in quite a while. So I got to give Hulu some props here for this and Prey. Kind of knocked it out of the park with these. Thanks for watching. Come back for more. Bye.